Hello, in this video I want to talk about gaslighting, what it is, understanding what it appears like in relationships, and I'll also give you examples of gaslighting. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Goddard from Revive Your Soul, and on this channel I'll talk about healing from emotional abuse and emotionally divorcing from the abuser. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you're returning, welcome back and thank you. I want to talk about gaslighting. Gaslighting is a covert way of distorting another person's perception of reality, making them question their sanity and their memory. It's crazy making. It really does make you believe that you're going crazy. You can't trust yourself or your perception of reality. You start to believe the abuser's versions of events, and slowly they begin to take over your life. Gaslighting was used to make you feel that something was wrong with you, and they used tactics to deflect from their behaviour, making you feel that you were mentally unstable and that you were overreacting. For people healing from these toxic relationships, this can cause emotional confusion and anxiety. Eventually, you may have started to wonder what was happening and that you couldn't trust your own judgment, and you created these bonds with this person, so you turned to the abuser for protection. I've got an example of a family scenario. So Erica found herself as a scapegoat in the family. Her mother was an angry, bitter person, and growing up, Erica learnt to monitor and manage her own behaviour and to manage other people in the family. She was walking on eggshells in an attempt to manage her mother's moods and not be the target of her anger. So if she attempted to say anything, she was told that she was making the situation up. She was told her version was wrong and exaggerated. And as an adult, she was told that her problem was she was too honest. Following counselling, when she spoke to her mother about things that happened in her childhood, her mother told her that it didn't happen, and it started to make her question if what she had experienced or had been told really did happen. In a relationship scenario, Erica was married for 5 years and she had 3 children with her husband Jason. And Jason told her when she became pregnant with her first daughter that she would need to go back to work following the birth, as he wouldn't be able to support them all. She was lucky enough to find a job following the birth, but shortly afterwards her husband lost his job and she then became the main earner. She found she was sorting out all the bills that had built up, and she was paying off credit card bills. She found herself again walking on eggshells because her husband had actually been sacked, but she went along with the story that he had lost his job, which he technically did, but it was due to his performance. Jason managed to secure a job when Erica was 4 months pregnant with her second child. She had managed to sort out all the finances, but he decided or continued to take a back seat and allow her to pay everything. His money continued to be his, and each time Erica started to talk about finances, she found herself feeling sorry for her husband and what he had been through. If they needed anything for the house, he would undermine her decisions, or he would agree until it was time to pay, and then he would declare that they didn't need it, or that he had never agreed to the purchase in the first place. Even when she took on a full-time role, she was still earning less than her husband, but continuing to support the family financially. And it wasn't until the divorce process that she discovered that although he was paying the mortgage, it was half the amount of the cost that she'd been told. Where she had no money left and an ever increasing overdraft, his disposable income was being spent on an expensive hobby and not on his growing family, even though he knew she had no or little money left after being paid. This pattern continued during the divorce, and Erica said she felt he got great pleasure from seeing her struggle financially bringing up their children. And at work, Erica had been working for the company for 3 years when she was offered a new position with a competitor. It came with a higher salary and it was closer to home. However, her manager didn't want her to leave. He made a higher offer and a new position within the existing company. So she decided to stay. And at first the manager was helpful and supportive. But then he started to belittle her in meetings, and she found that he became more and more demanding in front of the team. But when she spoke to him about it, he laughed it off and told her that she was too sensitive or she'd misunderstood what he meant. Gaslighting is a manipulation tool. It was used to make you feel something was wrong with you. Tactics were used to deflect their behaviour, making you feel you were mentally unstable or that you were overreacting. You might have heard things, or in situations hear things. You're so sensitive. You know you have trust issues. You know you are so insecure. What you're saying sounds crazy. I think you are overreacting. It wasn't that bad. And now you're just being paranoid. You know how you take things out of context. I was just kidding. You take everything so seriously. You're imagining things. You're overreacting. Why are you always so dramatic? That never happened. You know you don't remember things clearly. You're seeing a pattern that is not there. There you go again. You are so ungrateful. I think you want me to have an affair. Eventually you might have started to wonder what was happening and that you couldn't even trust your own judgment. You've created bonds with this person, so you now turn to your abuser for protection. It is so harmful because it promotes anxiety, depression, and it can even trigger breakdowns. So how would you know whether you're experiencing this subtle form of manipulation? When something doesn't feel right, it usually isn't. You don't know what it is or you can't explain it. The feeling is your intuition talking to you. You're convinced over a period of time that you were wrong and you end up turning it off. You might find yourself second guessing everything. That you are too sensitive. Do you have trust issues? It's psychological abuse. It's mindfuckery. You feel confused and disorientated. In an attempt to preserve itself, the brain has this amazing ability to shut down so that no further damage can be caused. Long-term contact with a toxic or emotionally abusive person causes damage to the brain. Damage to the hippocampus can result in memory loss. The stress caused by an emotionally abusive relationship triggers hormones cortisol, adrenaline and noradrenaline, which causes the hippocampus to shrink. You might feel threatened or on edge around this person, but you don't know why. Fight and flight are stress responses. When faced with a dangerous situation, our brains make a split decision by scanning the area and deciding if we can get away safely or if we need to stay and fight. And adrenaline is released into the body. Fawning is a response used when a person perceives a threat. Instead of running away or fighting, they respond in a pleasing way. It's a technique used to try and calm down a situation or to stall a threat of the attacker. Talking your way out of the situation or displaying exaggerated flattery or affection towards the abuser. And then there's freeze, which is a response that's triggered when a person can't win. They can't fight or take flight and they can't calm down the situation. Animals use freeze by playing dead. And my experience of freeze was feeling that my chin tilted to the left and I was paralysed temporarily. My body froze, but my brain was still working and trying to understand what was going on, what was happening, and why I couldn't move. Stress can be helpful and it can be healthy, keeps us focused and alert. But when it's experienced over a long period of time, it is very harmful. You might find yourself apologising all the time or taking responsibility for everything, walking on eggshells. Or you might constantly feel that you're trying to live up to the expectations, never feeling quite good enough. You've been put on a pedestal. In their eyes, they created an unrealistic expectation and a character that isn't you, which you find hard and difficult to live up to. You might start to wonder if you do have trust issues, and go back over old relationships and start to question them and yourself. You wonder if you overreact or you are too sensitive. This tactic is often used when the emotional abuser is moving between the idealization stage and the devaluation stage. They use it in a way of testing how bonded you are to them. And if you question them, they tell you they were only joking or that you're too sensitive. And they know they have to do a bit more work to get you bonded into that relationship. You find you have no one to turn to. You have been isolated from your friends and family, or you have isolated yourself, protecting the relationship because you were conditioned to. They may have used triangulation to create jealousy. And you wake up one day and you find everyone is gone. You come out of this relationship with your self-esteem on the floor. Again, this was something that was intended. You find yourself living in fear, jumping at the slightest sound and constantly looking over your shoulder. You were brainwashed into believing you can't do anything. But think back, if you can, to a time before you met them and remember who you were. Every manipulation tool they have was used to put you in a place of fear and to make you believe you can't live without them, to hand over the power and control of your life. The really, really covert ones will tell you things like, no, you misunderstood me, I didn't mean it like that, or in that way, I'm just concerned, I care about you. Or they'll tell you it was a joke. It wasn't. It was them checking in to see how invested you were in the relationship, how much work they had to do to have put in to get you bonded. They're really quite lazy and they want to get you hooked into a relationship as soon as they can. You might find yourself replaying scenarios over and over in your mind, asking the same questions. What if and if only? The weird excuses and claims of you being jealous and your trust issues. This form of abuse penetrates on so many different levels, so many layers. Your brain was tricked to believe what you were told was the truth, and it takes time to de-traumatize. And it is so easy to slip down into that dark hole when faced with new facts and situations. You were never going to get the closure you needed, and that was part of the game. Gaslighting is really dangerous, creating feelings of insecurity, confusion, brain fog, self-doubt, fear, not feeling good enough, feeling vulnerable or powerless. Gaslighting can drive you to the point that you have a nervous breakdown. Listen to your body and trust your intuition. Try some grounding techniques. Come out of your head and into your body. I hope this video has been helpful. If you'd like to find out more about working with me, you can visit my website. I'll put the links below, and I'll also put the links to the groups I run on Facebook, as well as the links to both my books, Finding Lily and the A to Z of Emotional Abuse. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'm sending you loads and loads and loads of love.